Good evening, everybody. My name is Doug Mitchell. I have the great privilege of serving as the executive director of the Glacier National Park Conservancy. I'm joined tonight by the greatest team in the business, Andrew Smith and Gracie Regala and Grace Kinsler and Amy Lucky. Really a treat to be with you and to bring three people who mean a lot to Glacier National Park, who you've probably never met, but are really at the core of what we do at the Conservancy and what the park does, both in terms of protecting the resource and engaging with tomorrow's leaders. So I am very pleased to welcome Gavin Wisdom, who's the Regional Director, Northern Rockies for MCC, Ashley Mazzullo, who's the Director of Youth Programs, and Sheila Sengador, who is the Tribal Partners Liaison and the Pecuni Lands Corps coordinator. We'll be talking about MCC and Pecuni Lands Corps. They are two parts of the similar group of funding that we do at the Conservancy. They are separate but together, and we'll learn a little bit about that together tonight. I want to start, Gavin, with you, and just kind of if I think you were from Colorado, so talk to us a little about your journey from Colorado to Montana, Kalispell, and your work at MCC.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Doug. Name's Gavin Wisdom. I am originally from Colorado. I came up to Montana in 2012, following an undergraduate degree in journalism from Fort Lewis College in Durango, Colorado. My journey to MCC is a long one. I have a background in education and then also in social work. I worked with a study abroad organization, doing trips in Southeast Asia for several years before putting roots down here in Kalispell. And in 2018, I began my graduate journey, getting an MSW at the University of Montana there in Missoula, and then began in this role just last summer. And so, in a nutshell, that's my journey to MCC. I've got a passion for being outside on trails and working with youth. So, I found a really wonderful home with MCC.
Yeah, well, thanks for finding your way home and for the good work you do. I grew up in Northern California, so we've got people, and Ashley, will go to you next, and you came to us from Illinois. Interested to hear that journey. But the three of us, I like to say we're Montanans by choice, not by chance. Right. So that's how I work on that. So Ashley, talk to us a little bit about how you got here.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Illinois, about an hour northwest of Chicago. And I actually first found my way here by way of MCC. So I'm an alumni of the adult program, and that was
Nice.
in 2012. And totally fell in love with Montana and doing outdoor work and getting to be outside as much as possible, and fell in love with the Flathead area. And I moved around for a few years, worked with kids at different youth development organizations, some seasonal work sprinkled in there, and then moved back to Kalispell in 2015 and worked at a residential boarding school for several years, working with high school aged kids. And I always had MCC on my radar because I loved my experience there. And eventually this position opened up and I found my way back here in the fall of 2023. So still pretty recent, but stoked to be back here.
Yeah, that's really cool. And again, thanks for what you're doing. And then we'll go to the homegrown hero, Shelby. This is your home. Talk to us about your journey growing up here, and then being in your new role, in this role.
Yeah, I'm Shelby Sankador. I'm actually from Browning, Montana, in the Blackfeet Reservation. I grew up there my whole life. I graduated from the Browning High School. From high school, I went to Missoula, to the University of Montana. I was undecided on what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure about anything that I wanted to do, but I went there and I ended up getting an internship with the USDA and Indian Nations Conservation Alliance. I did 3 summers with them, so I really got to experience the different conservation careers that are out there. And then I really got to get that sense of purpose for ancestral lands and working with tribal nations and doing like being a part of that consultation with agencies and tribal nations across Montana. So I went back to school. I took a little bit of time off for COVID. And then when I went back, I decided I wanted to go into environmental science. And once I went back into school, I'll be graduating this May. I was offered my position as a coordinator at the Montana Conservation Corps after applying, and I took that position, and I've been in that position for the last 2 summers, and this summer I'm coming back as the tribal liaison. So I really learned a lot, and I really love my position, and this is exactly where I think I'm supposed to be, because this is where my passion lies, is conserving land, preserving ancestral lands, and really involving our community from the Blackfeet first perspective, and then also wanting to involve other tribal nations in this type of work.
Well, Shelby is being a little bit modest. When she did her volunteer work, she was named the 2015 Earth Volunteer of the Year. So this is not no small deal and commitment that she has made to this work in this area. So I told you we had 3 amazing people to meet tonight, and they have spent a bunch of time. We really appreciate the time, treasure, and talent you spend with us, and have put together a presentation. Please remember this. This is driven by your questions, so please use the chat to put questions in. They're going to give us a little presentation, then we're going to come back and have plenty of time for questions, so that you can dig a little deeper into what they do and how they do it. So with that, I think, Gavin, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thanks again for putting something together for us.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Doug. Maybe I can't see very many folks, so maybe, Doug, if you could tell me if you can see the slides all right there.
We're good.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, good evening, everyone. First off, I would like to thank the Glacier Conservancy for inviting us to chat tonight. Gatherings like this mean so much to agencies like us, giving us even more opportunities to connect with the communities and the supporters that we serve. So thank you so much for having us this evening. Yeah, to kick things off, I just wanted to showcase our mission here, which is to inspire young people through hands-on conservation service to be leaders, stewards of the land, and engaged citizens who improve their communities. And so tonight, myself, Ashley, and Shelby, we're all going to be just talking a little bit more depth about the programming that we have and some of the nuts and bolts there that kind of lead us in achieving this mission. So before we dive into programs, I just wanted to point to a little bit of the history of Conservation Corps work. Here's a wonderful quote from FDR that I just love. Conservation Corps actually began as a social program, being a social worker. I love this. But as a part of the New Deal back in the early 1930s, and as part of that, FDR said that he proposes to create a civilian conservation corps to be used in simple work. More important, however, than the material gains will be the moral and spiritual value of such work. And I just love that, because kind of how that manifests in the work that we do today is through things like our leadership development program that we have. You see young people going through our programs, just having grown tremendously in a variety of different areas. That's not just within the field of conservation. And so yeah, I love that we have kind of this in our history as conservation corps. But kind of zooming forward, here in Montana in 1990, the Human Resource Development Council agencies from Billings, Bozeman, and Kalispell all got together to establish MCC. And the very first field crews went out in the summer of 1991, kind of in cooperation with the HRDC. And then also in 1993 is when MCC successfully obtained AmeriCorps funding. And so we can talk a little bit about kind of how we work with AmeriCorps here in a little bit. But that partnership doubled our funding and helped us to establish regional offices across the state. So we've got 4 regional offices one in Bozeman, one in Missoula, one, of course, here in the Northern Rockies based in Kalispell, and then another in Helena. And so now we've got some significant capacity, with support from folks like yourselves, to be able to carry out our mission. So at that, I will go ahead and hand it over to Shelby.
So here at MCC, we instill hope and purpose through the 4Ps curriculum, which is what you'll see here. Those 4Ps, they include people, our place, people, power, and pathways. We believe that when we meaningfully connect to a sense of place, to other people, and to a sense of purpose and to pathways into the future, we connect to a sense of purpose altogether as a whole. So really what we really instill in each of our programs, and this is with our adult programs and our youth programs, they all fall under this foundation. With place, it's connecting to the land, the heritage and the culture, the community. And then when you go through into people, you're connecting through communication and compassion and understanding as you work with your crews and you work with your project partners, and just getting really connected with all of the different people and all the different aspects of career pathways as well. Power, which is the connection to one's resilience, expression of skills and well-being. Just being able to be out there on trails and be able to do this kind of work can be really hard, but having that power and that connection to your crew, the land, it all helps it come together and really help you build resilience and a lot of skills out there. And then that all ultimately leads to career pathways, from connecting to various project partners and gaining personal values and passions that you never knew you could have had before you started the program. And then ultimately, this is leads to what we call the core program, which is part of the curriculum. We give out manuals to leaders and members. They might be a little bit different, but they really entail service, citizenship, leadership, teamwork and communication, land stewardship, and then just hard work and quality results from doing project work, and then also just results from building your own self resilience and your building your purpose to what maybe you want to do in the future. And then I'll go ahead and pass this next slide on to Ashley.
Awesome. Thanks, Shelby. So as Gavin mentioned at the start, MCC is an AmeriCorps program as well. And so we are a partner with them. We receive a grant from them each year and work closely with AmeriCorps. And anyone that's unfamiliar with AmeriCorps, it's the federal agency for national service and volunteerism. And the AmeriCorps mission, you'll notice some overlap as I read it from MCC's mission as well. Which is to improve lives, strengthen communities, and foster civic engagement through service and volunteering. So really well aligned with what we're trying to do at Montana Conservation Corps, and supporting our members and leaders throughout the program to really instill what Shelby was just sharing, and to bring all of those pieces together. And then if we could move on to the next slide. We have about 400 AmeriCorps members that go through MCC each year. And with being an AmeriCorps partner and having AmeriCorps members, these folks are able to earn a living stipend while they're working with us, as well as an educational award once they've completed the program, which is obviously a huge draw for people that are maybe just out of college, that want to go back to school, or to be able to use it towards other educational opportunities. So there's a lot of great benefits of having that relationship with AmeriCorps, and we're able to serve a lot of people that want to go through MCC because of that partnership. So we're really excited to be an AmeriCorps partner and have that programmatic piece with it. And then some other highlights here. We served about 100 youth in 2022. And from 2021 to 2023, we had 51 Glacier Conservation Corps youth go through the program. And then we had about 1,000 project weeks and 400,000 plus hours of service across all programs that operated in Glacier. And I'll pass back to you, Gavin.
Awesome. Yeah. So a part of that programming and something that we're actually in the thick of at this very moment is our 3-month intensive leadership development program. And so as part of the adult core and also in the youth core, we do they do an abbreviated version of the leadership development program, or as we call it, the LDP. It's an immersive experience where we get all of our leaders who are going to be guiding AmeriCorps members through the field season. We get them out, starting mid-February through mid-May to do this intensive training, which is both focused on hard and soft skills. And so they're not only learning how to use different tools, learning how to use a chainsaw, getting some trigger time on the chainsaw, but they're also going through a 1-week long intensive, which we just got back from week before last, that we called our summit experience, in which we all gather at a small camp just outside of Clearwater Junction. Actually, I think where this photo was taken, and have a week-long intensive where we're doing things, doing activities involving like different leadership styles and targeting those soft skills. And so, yeah, the leadership development program is really kind of something that we're very proud of as an organization, that enables these young folks to be able to take a crew of five young adults into the wilderness for an entire field season and lead successful project work. In addition to the leadership development program, so as the regional director of the adult corps in the Northern Rockies, it's my job to oversee our field crews for the season. And so this year, throughout the region, we've got about 10 field crews, 2 of which are exclusively dedicated to project work in Glacier National Park, a lot of which is funded through Glacier National Park Conservancy dollars. One of those crews that is funded through the Conservancy we call them our Weed Warriors, our Glacier Park Weed Warriors. Collectively with our other invasives crews, we call them our wildland restoration teams. And so we've got wildland restoration teams throughout the state of Montana who are going and doing invasives spraying. They're going in doing some revegetation work. They're doing tree planting across our state and across our region. Pitch it back to you, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks, Gavin. With the youth programs, I oversee kind of statewide our youth programming. And for kind of the purposes of this conversation, I'll focus mostly on the Glacier Youth Corps. And that is one full track throughout the summer where we're able to offer 4 2-week sessions in Glacier National Park for local youth. And we operate similarly to the adult program in that the kids are going out and doing conservation-based projects. A big difference, obviously, is age, and then, what type of work they're able to do, and wanting to really give them a wide variety of exposure to the park and being able to see different career pathways, learn more about what's in their own backyard. So we have some curriculum that's got some leadership development elements, and then we also have a lot of other pieces weaved in there too about just what do they want to learn about the park and what educational opportunities can we bring to them. And like I said, we've had about 51 youth that served in the park between 2021 and 2023. So we're hoping to continue that number growing over the next few years and getting more kids into the park. And it's always surprising for being local to the area, you know, how many kids maybe haven't had the opportunity to go to Glacier despite living really close geographically. And that's a really awesome part about our program, is being able to keep that barrier as low as possible through different funding opportunities in order to get the kids into the park and be able to camp there and have that community feel and experience what's so close to them and really deepen that connection to the land. So that's, yeah, awesome. We love it, and the kids really enjoy it. So we're really grateful that they have the opportunity to spend that much time in Glacier. And then we also offer, similarly in the high school age group, we have expeditions that go out across the state. So in addition to Glacier, we also offer different opportunities out of the Bozeman area to try to diversify as many kids that we're able to reach. And then they're going out and doing conservation-based work just in different areas of Montana.
Okay, and then for the Pekani Land Service Corps, and also I seen in the chat that Leroy had a question about the Service Corps. This is the involvement of the Pekani Lands crew, and it's overall arching, it's the Pekani Lands Corps. Under what falls under the Pekani Lands Corps is the Pekani Lands Youth Engagement Program, and then the Pekani Lands crew. The two distinctions between them is, and between other MCC programs, is our program is a little shorter for the adult crews. We start typically after college. It gets out usually at the end of beginning of May, actually, and then we end at the end of August, just because that's how it really worked well with our group of individuals who we targeted, which is like the Blackfeet young adults. So, and then the youth engagement is mostly the high school students ages from 14 to 18. And we really get into the school system. They don't have a crew, but we do have days where they go into the park and experience different parts of the park to get different career opportunities. This program exists as a program of MCC to facilitate conservation service experiences and job skills trainings to Pekani teens and young adults. The program aims to integrate traditional ecological knowledge, personal development, and meaningful project work on ancestral lands, mainly for the Pekani in this situation. But in the next slide, I'll speak about some future endeavors that we have for this tribal program. Which would vastly reach across the state to other reservations. But that's what we hope. So for the Pekani Youth Engagement Program, we partner with the public schools on the reservation to introduce high schoolers to the field of conservation. This includes 2 career days that are offered in St. Mary's and West Glacier. So far, we've brought in, from the last one, about 120 high school students from the Browning High School, and then the academy there that has also some other students that go to Browning High School or are part of the Browning High School system. They got to go there and learn about different job opportunities in the park. Not sure if anyone's seen them on the news, but they were all on the news as well. And then the Pekani Lands crew is the Montana Conservation Crew, but this one operates in collaboration with the Blackfeet Manpower Program. So it's a separate program, but they collaborate together. The Manpower Program pays the crew an incentive, and they offer them gear such as boots, rain gear, anything like kind of just those main necessities, essentials for camping. And then the Montana Conservation Corps and the Glacier Conservancy, thank you for so much for those funds as well, but they also help make this crew successful in our project work. We have done a lot of project work in the park and in and around, I think in like the Badger 2 Medicine area, along in the Continental Divide Trail, and then we did some work on the Firebrand Trail last summer. And we got to work alongside the Glacier National Park Trail crew, so that was really awesome. This program kind of entails one crew, which consists of 8 members. 2 of them are leaders and 6 are the members under this crew. All of the crew members are also going through an LDP training as well that Ashley just mentioned. Our crews go through it for 3 weeks, which would be a little bit shorter than the typical other MCC crews, but it does work that way best for us because our crew members typically join later than the other adult crew members. So it still works out. We still get really good training in for the leaders, and they still were able to have successful crews for the last 2 summers. And then just a little bit of stats behind our crews. 100% strongly agreed that they left the program with a better sense of work and conservation and a better sense of their values. And then 80% indicated that their communication skills improved and reported an increase in confidence and resiliency. And then some of the projects that we did that were funded by the Glacier National Park Conservancy, we did some wildlife surveying, we surveyed loons, and then we also did some weed days on the Marias Pass where we picked and then also sprayed knapweed. And then also just a lot of trainings that we had done. We went to the going to the sun blessing ceremony, and that's really a big part of learning about getting our crews to learn the purpose behind working in the park, and knowing that that's their ancestral land, and getting to go to those blessings really is great for us. So that is everything that entails under our crews. And then if we just move on to the next slide, please. In the future, what we really wanted to look forward to jumping out to was providing the tribal programs to other reservations, because right now it is on the Blackfeet Reservation. Any other enrolled member can join our crew, but it's kind of hard because you'd probably have to move very far to come join our crew. So what we wanted to do was really expand our partnerships, maybe on other reservations, as there's these 7 other reservations in Montana, and really get them involved in the same kind of work. And I know that they're all working really hard on climate change plans right now. So I think that this would really fall into a good time and place for this to happen on other reservations as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shelby and Ashley. Yeah, before I just say a few words about other non-Glacier National Park programming that we offer, I should mention that our adult core programming within Glacier Park, we also engage, kind of as the video mentioned, Jeff mentioned a little bit in our video that we started off with, that we do engage with citizen science. We've got 2 weeks of citizen science and doing a bit of wildlife surveys with those folks scheduled for this summer. And then we also have been working for 10, this might be year 9 or year 10 on the Swift Current Accessibility Trail. Is it year 9? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so this is year 9 that we are working on the Swift Current Accessibility Trail, and I think the goal is to be finishing that up just outside Many Glacier next year.
Correct.
So that's pretty exciting project work there too, that we're doing, just laying staylock and getting folks who would not otherwise be able to enjoy some of the beautiful scenery of Glacier National Park to a place where it's accessible for them. So we're really proud to take part in that. And then finally, we've also got 11 weeks of work this year in Glacier Park doing wildfire mitigation with the Glacier Park Fire folks. So, but as far as other non-GNP programming that we've got, just kind of so you can have a little bit of a scope of what other things that we're doing statewide. Down in Bozeman, we have a women's fuels and fire crew that runs through May and August, where these young women get an opportunity to get their red card and then roll straight into a gig fighting fire for the rest of their season. We also have other youth conservation corps programming in other areas across the state. We do individual placement programs where we actually place interns with different forests across Montana. And then we also do have our Big Sky Watershed Corps, which is a program that's kind of underneath the MCC umbrella that we could talk more about too if folks have questions. And then our conservation interns and fellows, which is again under the individual placement programming. And yeah, that is a wrap for us just kind of talking at you this evening. And so that being said, we'd love to turn it back over to you all for any questions and to again kind of come back to the conversational nature of the evening. So
That is amazing. Thank you again for the work you do and for spending so much time curating what was a terrific presentation. So I think we can probably end share screen and go back to our conversational mode. So awesome. Thanks so much. And we do have a bunch of questions that have already populated the chat. Amy Lucky has found refuge at a neighbor's house who has better internet. Amy, thanks for taking one for the team, as you always do. And I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of start us off with a few of the great questions that people have had.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to have internet flathead problems, I guess, here, but thanks for bearing with me. And man, Gavin, Ashley, and Shelby, it seems like all of these crews are in really good hands with you all. So thanks for that super informative presentation. And yeah, it looks like we have maybe first some sort of like logistical questions, specifically about recruiting. So how do people find out about you, and what's that process like? And is there a limit to how many? Are you turning people away? Are you trying to find more people? Maybe one of you can talk to that.
It depends on the program a little bit, but I can kick off the youth portion and then pass it over to Gavin and Shelby. For the youth, we do school visits and different community outreach efforts. For an example, we'll be at some Earth Day activities this weekend, tabling, hoping to connect with some parents and families to introduce them to the youth program. And then we also go to different high schools across the state and either present to different classrooms or table at lunches just to be able to connect with youth that might be interested. And then our crew leader recruitment is probably more similar to Gavin and Shelby in the outreach that we do, that a lot of those folks are coming from all over the country. So we start the interviews for those typically kind of early winter to start getting people interested and hiring those leaders for the season. And that's a range of outreach efforts. We have a whole recruitment team that helps put out blasts to social media and different job boards. And so kind of varies depending on who we're looking for, depending on the program.
Okay, great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then how are projects picked? Do you work with the park to pick projects, or how does that happen?
I can go, and I think for our adult core programming, we we really try and follow the need. And so one of my jobs as our regional director is to keep in communication with Glacier Park, keep in communication with the Forest Service, other community-based organizations, see what the need is, and also see where the funding comes from and what we're able to do with that funding. And so I think in short, the short answer is that we try to let the needs govern kind of where we end up going. Yeah.
Great. And Dave has a really good question about, and I think you touched on this a little bit, but do you have ways to track or check in with past participants and find out what they're doing later on, and how many stick with conservation? And do you kind of have an idea of where people end up?
we kind of have a smaller kind of a shorter program span, I guess, than the other MCC crews. So we kind of been tracking where our people go just since I've been working since 2022, so I kind of have an idea from that point to now. A lot of our leaders, two of our leaders are going into the conservation field, and then another two of them are going into like the medical field. So one's going here at the University of Montana to environmental science. The other one is going into environmental science as well, and then the other one is in Bozeman doing pre-med. So and then one's at SKC doing nursing. So that they're all doing really great things. I'm not sure about everybody else prior, because I know that there was a Cunnylands crew or a Blackfeet crew prior to me, but we didn't really they didn't track it. So I'm not sure if other programs track theirs.
Yeah, there's been a few rounds of alumni surveys over the year to try to bring in a little bit more of that research side of things and evaluate, like, is our curriculum still relevant? Is it meeting the needs of our leaders and AmeriCorps members? And I know that there's another alumni survey going out here shortly. We were just asked to kind of go over it as a staff team for any feedback that's going out here soon. So there is a regular cadence that does go out across programs to alumni, I think up to 5 years back in time, sort of depending on when it's sent out.
Well, that must be a really great feeling to see people doing so well and moving on in their lives and kind of tracking them in that way. So that's yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'm gonna ask Margaret to unmute, as I often do, because I love to hear Margaret talk. And she just made a comment in the chat, and I was hoping maybe she could read that for us.
Okay. Well, I can't find it in the chat actually, but I was just going to say, I was, I think, chair of the Conservancy's grants committee at the time, and we had a board event in the park, and it was over in the old education center. And a crew that had just come off their several weeks in the park came and met with us. And I can still picture some of their faces. They were so lit up, so enthusiastic, and honestly, they were both inspired and inspiring, right? And I think everyone in that room was really glad that the Conservancy is supporting the crews, but also just, shared their enthusiasm. It was really wonderful. So I assume that you're around that every day in your working life to one degree or another. And it's really wonderful to support you. So thank you.
Do you three have any stories about enthusiasm or over-enthusiasm or lack of enthusiasm? I'm the mom to 2 teenagers, and I honestly can't imagine them signing up to be on a trail crew, but I kind of want to sign them.
And you know what? Can I just say, great follow-up, Amy, because we were just seeing a snapshot. So I look forward to what you have to say, and I'm going to mute now. Thanks.
Is it hard to get the teenagers to start the trail crew? What's been your experience?
This will be my first full season with the youth crew. I have been a youth crew leader in the past, back in the day though. So I do remember being in Canyonlands National Park and getting some like, oh, this is it type of question. So when we got out there, but I would say, with the length of the youth program, being about 2 weeks, I think it's a really good amount of time to get them excited, but they're not out there for the entire summer where you would probably run into some motivational challenges, I'd imagine. And so for the most part, I've heard a lot of excitement and enthusiasm from the kids, and on school visits, when I mentioned Glacier, they tend to light up and get really excited about it. So that's been my experience so far.
Awesome. Well, I hope that continues for you. And I should sign my 2 up for sure. Let's see. I'm going to go back to the chat here. David Simmons said, "If only I was younger." I don't know, Dave. Maybe we can get you out there. Janet asked, "Are there any non-summer time projects?"
Yeah, I'll take that. I think for our adult core, our leadership development program begins middle of February, end of February. Our leaders first arrive in the community, and so they just started a couple weeks ago doing their leader hitches, where they go out as a crew of leaders and partner with our project partners and start getting some work done. And so that also involves a lot of training, a lot of work hardening. I was actually just talking to a couple of our leaders earlier today who came back from their very, very first trails hitch, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we are tired." And so, yeah, there's definitely work to be done in the shoulder season. And then our season goes all the way through mid-October as well. And then there was also a time it's not actually active right now, but there was a time where we had a program through which we would go and help folks with lower incomes winter their houses, prepare for winter, and winterize their homes. So yeah, there is a legacy of work in the shoulder season that we've done as a core, and we still continue to do a lot of great things kind of in those the ramping up and the winding down times. So
Yeah, wow, super interesting. And yeah, lots of work to be done in the shoulder season too, I'm sure, as long as the weather holds that.
you bet.
I'm gonna
Especially
throw
you're
it back to, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Gavin.
Oh, I was just saying, especially you're like this in Montana, where we haven't had a whole lot of winter hanging on. So
Right, we were all hiking on Thanksgiving, and now we're back out at it. Although there was a little skip of snow in Big Fork this morning to scare us all.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw it back to Doug. He's got a few things up his sleeve.
Yeah, so thanks, Amy. And I've changed my background to show you some of that difficult work. It's really amazing what happens foot by foot, inch by inch in the park. I actually had a nephew who signed up to be in the weed crew, and think about that for a while, being in a 1,000,000-acre landscape and pulling weeds in many cases by hand. It's really important work that's really hard, and they need our support. And when we do events like this, people always ask me, what can I do to help? So I figured I'd just take a minute to say you can, and it's really important, and you are. Thanks to you and others, this year we're going to support $114,000 worth of MCC work in Glacier Park. Andrew's going to put in the chat a link if you find yourself driven to want to make a contribution to continue that in 2025. We're upping our game in 2025. We will be committing to $156,000, which includes partnering with, as Shelby said, with Blackfoot Manpower, which is a learning we had through our meeting with the tribal nation there in the Blackfeet Nation recently. So really upping our game, and it only happens because of private donations and private philanthropy. So it doesn't have to be $1 million gift, kind of like the work that the crews do. It is dollar by dollar, inch by inch, and everything matters. So if you're driven by and motivated by what we've heard tonight, or think someone else might be, share the link and make a gift, and we can use all the help we can get. So with that, Amy, I'm going to hand it back to you, and I think you and Gracie are going to give away some shirts.
Okay, I haven't seen the winners yet, but Gracie was going to do a drawing, and I'm going to change my background real quick to show you the new Glacier shirt. We do an annual shirt.
It's very exciting. She's changing, by the way, from a background which is the Staylock product on the Swift Current Trail. It's an amazing thing. If you've not been out there, it is a game changer.
So can you all see?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, so that's one version of the shirt, but we also have a toddler version, or this is a little kid's version. And then this might be my favorite picture ever. I think this is how we all feel when we're in Glacier, right? Out on the trail. So, Gracie, do you want to unmute and announce our winners?
Yes, I'm happy to. Thanks, Amy. I'm gonna get out in advance about my apologies if I mispronounce any names here, but we picked 3 winners tonight. So we have Jay Sedlak, Hardin Walker, and Mary Pat Serrano. So if I said one of your names, please email me with what size t-shirt you'd like to gracie@glacier.org. Woohoo!
Awesome. That's terrific. So I know we got some more questions, Amy, so I'm going to hand it back over to you. And again, if you have more questions, we've got about 10 minutes or so and access to smart people. So let's use that time.
So I'm going to scroll back up a little bit because I know I left some out. Dave Baylor again had another question. He says, I'm a little familiar with AmeriCorps in the big scary city of Seattle and how long the commitment is for those young people. But is AmeriCorps duration for your programs more than 4, 6, 8 weeks, etc.?
Yeah, so I know a little bit about that. Ashley, maybe you could help fill in my gaps where I'm lacking, but I think we've got there are different hourly terms for AmeriCorps volunteers. And I might get the hours wrong, but I believe there's a 400-hour term, there's a 600-hour term, 900-hour term, and a 1,200-hour term. So our full season members are 1,200. Our full season crew leaders are 1,200, where our AmeriCorps members for the full field season are at 900 hours, and then we also have summer only and fall only. Summer only being, I believe, 600 hours, and then fall only being a 400-hour slot. So yeah, and then there's corresponding education awards that go along with each of those hourly commitments.
And I always think in terms of a work year. When I think about hours, I think of a work year being 2,080, right? So when you think about, a 900-hour summer, that's a bunch of days for sure.
Yeah, some real commitment. That's awesome. Let's see. I have another one. Please describe more details of the individual placement/intern program. What are your sources for the volunteers?
Yeah, I can maybe Gavin, same on this one. If I miss anything, feel free to hop in, or Shelby. With this program, it's very diverse across the state. So geographically, we have people all the way over in eastern Montana to western Montana. It spreads pretty far geographically, and people are working typically with different nonprofits or government agencies, and so they're placed there for a period of time and serving with whatever agency they've been assigned to for the duration of their however many hours they've committed to. And then similarly, our outreach efforts to fill those spots function the same way that we recruit for our other programs. And then we have some different options that their cycle's a little bit different than the field program, since it tends to be a little bit more typical of like work week hours versus like being out in the field for a full project or full hitch. They're working a little bit more closely with whoever, whatever group they've been assigned to.
Shelby's it work similarly with the Pecuni Lance course?
It is a little bit similar. We are more similar to the individual placement program because we don't really do those long hitches. Typically like the 2-week hitches. We have 2 or 3 hitches throughout our season, but our projects are mostly day projects. So we mostly work really close to home. And then when we do go on hitches, they're a lot shorter, maybe like 5 days at the most. And then the other parts of our program, yeah, they mostly work closer to the individual placement program.
That's awesome. So it would not be a gathering of a Glacier Conversation without, and I warned our guests that there would be a speed round. We've got about 5 minutes left. I'll only take a couple of those. So the way this works, Gavin, Ashley, and Shelby, is I'm going to give you a yes or no, or first question is going to be friend or foe. And we're going to go, Ashley, we're going to go in alphabetical order. Ashley, Gavin, Shelby. Okay, so friend or foe, Pulaski.
Friend.
Gavin.
Friend.
Shelby.
And
Okay. But that's excellent. Heavy. Those who have not have, yeah, amazing. An incredible story about the invention of the Pulaski. I think it was from I forget whose book it was, but in any case. Okay. U of M or MSU? Ashley.
U of M.
Gavin.
U of M.
Shelby.
U of M.
Go Grizz. Okay, that's unanimous. That's good. I used to work for Senator Baucus and he used to hate that question because there was no correct answer to that question. Okay, so favorite side of the park, east side, west side. Ashley, go.
East side.
Gavin.
West side.
Shelby. Do I need to ask you?
East side. All the way.
East side, there's a shirt, east side, best side. Okay, last but not least, and completely irrelevant, Ashley, Swifty or no Swifty?
Swifty.
Gavin, come on, man. It's okay.
Oh, man.
Safe space. It's safe space.
Oh man. I'll go Swifty.
Okay. Shelby?
Swifty, 100%.
All right. Wow. You guys belong together. This is a unanimous, pretty much a unanimous crew, other than Gavin's lack of judgment on the side of the park he likes best. Okay, well, thank
My
you
wife's
for
family's from the west side, so I gotta go.
smart man, very smart man. Well played. So Amy, I think we've got a time for another question or two, if you've got them handy.
Yeah, I've got a couple comments. One, You Belong Together sounds like a Swifty song. So that was well played, Doug. And then in a little bit of Glacier magic, it turns out one of our winners tonight, Mary Pat, it's her birthday. I mean, are you kidding? So happy birthday, Mary Pat. We're glad that you're here on our birthday and that we can send you a shirt.
And Dave Baylor remembered the book, which is Tim Egan's The Big Burn. Just amazing stories about
I think
the
we all
environment.
belong together tonight. Yeah. It seems like a little bit of magic going on. Okay, let's well, I have two good questions. One is, we'll be quick because we only have a minute, but my coworker Stacy, who's in Washington DC right now but tuning in, asked if there's any crazy, let's just keep it to crazy fun animal sightings while you guys have been out on trail crew, or things that you've heard. What's the wildest thing that's happened?
We ran into 3 mountain lions. Like, just when we came over a hill, there was like 3 like little family of them, and they just took off and scattered. But we were like so close to them, and I feel like you don't ever see mountain lions, and to see 3 at once was like, I don't know, it was just like, whoa, is that real? But yeah, it was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's wild. Wow. Can you guys top that, Gavin or Ashley?
Can't top it. Nope.
No.
And our other question was also great about sort of a day in the life, but kind of like outside of work for the crew, for Margaret. But it looks like Gavin says that there is a day in the life video on your website. So maybe we can all end the conversation and go to montanacorp.org and watch a day in the life, unless you guys want to add something to the video.
I think it's a great video. I think, members get a lot of voice in that video. So definitely check it out. There's a lot of other fun video on our website as well, too, if folks want to learn more about the work we do and what it's like. So.
My nephew did a lot of swimming and a lot of late night grocery shopping. No.
I bet.
Well,
thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. Thank you, Amy and Gracie and everybody else for all the help. This does take a village to put something like this together. Also, I think I'm remembering now that Jeff now is on the MCC board, which is terrific to have him. What an incredibly inspirational leader and good friend to all of us. So, and you now are all good friends to all of us as well. You're part of our Glacier National Park Conservancy family. So thank you for, again, the work you do, for the commitment you bring to it, for the lives you change. and for being part of our Glacier conversation tonight. I always feel badly because this ends very abruptly, but every good thing must end. So thank you again for all you do, and thanks everybody for your support. This couldn't happen without private support for these projects, and we're just going to keep on working. I know you guys will too, and we'll look forward to seeing you on a trail soon. Thanks everybody, and have a great evening.